Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with another first impressions. I've got a few of them to get to over the next couple of days, so you'll probably see you'll be sick of first impressions and be wanting a full review here shortly. But this is one that I've been pretty interested in. Now, Lionsteel, I'm a Lionsteel fan for sure. One of my favorite knives of all time is the Lionsteel M4. I've got a Lionsteel T6 right now, which I'm really enjoying. I've got tons of Lionsteel reviews, most of them pretty positive. So when I saw this, I was intrigued, but initially I thought this is probably going to be a pass for me. However, upon further consideration, and when I saw that Justin over at White Mountain Knives had a few in stock, he still does have some in stock as of the recording of this, so you might want to go over there. You can use my discount code SHARPSTUFF, and that'll save you a little bit, 10% off your purchase. It also helps the channel. So anyway, back to the knife in question. What you are looking at is the Lionsteel LE1. And if you write that out on a piece of paper, you'll get it. All right. LE1 kind of looks and sounds like lion. Okay. And I get the connection here is this is sort of like a claw. It's more of a defensive style knife. Pretty compelling one, by the way. So the reason I was interested to pick one of these up, I guess there are a few reasons. One, I do find this design pretty attractive, which is not something I can say for probably 90% of the karambits out there. I just don't have much interest in almost any karambit. But this one is just a little intriguing to me. I kind of like the look. I also like some of the features here. So number one, this has MagnaCut steel, which I've been wanting to try for a while. This is also an integral, so not a titanium integral like we often see from WE and Riot and a few others, but Lionsteel has been doing aluminum integrals for a long time. If you've been around as long as I have, you'll remember Nut and Fancy, and we're talking about the Lionsteel SR1. Maybe it's the SR11. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Lionsteel had a heavy-duty, hard-use aluminum integral knife. In fact, one of the worst cuts I've ever had. You can still see the scar from it right there on my thumb. Maybe you can see it. It's not as visible as it once was. Oh, because I'm showing you the wrong thumb. There you go. So you can see the scar right there. That came from a Lionsteel that I had that was an aluminum integral. So that's pretty cool. And of course, the last thing is, we've got a bunch of different deployment mechanisms. Now, this is one of those knives that has like all of the deployment mechanisms. I'm surprised they didn't find a way to put thumb studs on here, but we've got a deployment hole. We've got the Emerson wave feature that's going to catch this as it's coming out of your pocket, right? And then we also have the flipper tab. The flipper tab is removable, which is kind of an interesting thing. And of course, we could also, hold on, I'll see if I can, yeah, I can thumb open the knife as well. I think maybe I did that just in case I forgot. So number of things that attracted me to this, not the least of which was, the design, the construction, the blade steel, and the fact that I've never had, I've handled a couple of, cheap, gas station style karambits, but I've never handled a nicer karambit. So for all of those reasons, I was pretty curious to pick this up. And I have to say, now that I've got it in person and I'm able to spend a little time with it, I will say, the ergonomics is interesting, and we'll spend some time doing that. I am going to EDC this for a while. I think most of the cutting tasks that I need to do, I can probably get done with it, and I'll comment on that in the full review. I know a karambit is primarily for a particular fighting style, but the fact is, most of us are not going to be using our knives for fighting anyone. And if you are in that situation, like, man, something has gone severely wrong in your life. So hopefully that never ever happens to me or anyone else watching this. You never have to engage in any kind of conflict with a knife, because that's a really bad situation. So back to the knife in question. We're still in first impressions mode here. So let me give you a quick rundown on size and weight, and we can talk about some of those other things when we get to the full review. If there's specific things you'd like to address or points you'd like to raise, go ahead and put those in the comments, and I can reflect back on that when I get to the full review. Size on this guy is 8 3/16 1/16 overall. So a little under 8¼ inches, 3¼ inches on the blade length, okay, and only 3 inches of cutting edge. And that's because you can see that the design sort of requires that, right? Like it's already a fairly substantial knife. That ring adds a whole lot. So this is 5 5/8 when closed, and that's because, yeah, that ring adds, you know, think of it like, there you go, almost a whole inch. So this would be basically be a 4-inch knife closed with a 3-inch blade. To get to make this, you know, a karambit with a ring, it's obviously had to be bigger than that. All right. Finally, oh, sorry, I'm about to move on without touching on one thing that's important. If you're not using the ring at all, the grip area is fine for me. It's not perfect. My finger doesn't, and when I use the ring, my fingers land in the choils a little bit better. When I don't use it, I'm a little bit cramped. There's only about 3½ inches of grip area here. The last thing is I haven't touched on in terms of size and weight is the weight, which is 4.7 ounces. So not too bad for an aluminum integral. I mean, you know, it's a fairly large knife, and so for that size, not a big deal. Now, listen, I don't have any special training. I'm not, you know, I'm going to use this for EDC, and I think it can do, as I was saying, most of what I want. The only thing, obviously, this is not going to be great in the kitchen, and it's not going to be great in the woods. It's going to be more for, you know, open packages, that kind of stuff. I think it'll excel at kind of that utility work, but some of the bushcraft type of stuff you might want to do, probably not ideal. So what are my initial reactions? What impressions of this? My initial thoughts. You know, look, Lionsteel has done a great job. They usually do. Their attention to detail, their fit and finish is, generally speaking, very, very good, and that's true of this knife. I will add this point though. I haven't oiled it or anything. I haven't done any of the usual maintenance that I might do to a knife, but I did loosen this pivot by like a fraction of a turn, and it made a big difference. It's still rock solid. There's no side-to-side blade play at all, but it just moves a lot freer than it did at first. So Lionsteel had really cranked that pivot down on this, and they may have on yours too. The only reason, normally I'd save this for a review, but just in case you've got one and you're like, man, the action on this is not ideal. Well, it may be that you need to crank that pivot off a turn or two as well, or just not a full turn, even like I was like, you know, a quarter turn maybe, and it was perfect. All right, it did make a big difference. Now, when I get to the full review, of course, I'll have cleaned this and oiled it and fully, you know, given it all the care that I can to get it as good as possible, and I'll then have more to say about the action. All right, there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to go over to White Mountain Knives, check one of these out for yourself, and if you do that and you're gonna buy something, use my discount code. That helps you save 10%. It helps the channel as well. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.